Vic Mullen, how you all doing? So LabourCon, and I need to talk about this particular crazed, retarded lunatic called Ed Miliband. Ed Miliband is the Energy Secretary of the United Kingdom. Did you know, for the people outside of the UK, and probably for some of you inside the UK has the highest energy bills, not in Europe, but in the world. The entire earth, the UK has the highest energy bills. And this is because of a plum retard called Ed Miliband, who thinks everyone should be green and hug trees and form a big circle and sing Kumbaya my lord as they bow and kneel in front of windmills and solar panels. And what Ed Miliband has basically done is he's thrown away essentially 40 years worth of energy infrastructure in the United Kingdom. Gone are the days of the United Kingdom using the North Sea and using North Sea oil and North Sea gas to basically heat British homes, run British businesses. Instead, what Ed Miliband decided to do is basically shut down a lot of the production in the North Sea and start building windmills in places where nobody wanted them, and start buying up farmland by the tens of thousands of acres and putting solar panels on top instead of growing food. Now we're at the stage where the UK has to import a lot more food than it used to have to import since the beginning of Tony Blair's stint as Prime Minister in 1997. So much farmland has been covered by solar panels because of Ed Miliband. The UK has lost, roughly speaking, 25% of arable farmland because they're all now covered in solar panels. And the trouble about solar panels is they don't generate electricity when it's dark. And the trouble with windmills is they don't generate electricity when there's no wind. And the third problem that's just stacking up against Ed's stupid retard communist Miliband is we don't have the battery capacity to store the energy. We've never had the battery capacity to store the energy. Even if all of a sudden in the UK we get a nice bright sunny day and there's roughly a 35 mile an hour southern wind, perfect conditions for both windmills and for solar, did you know that roughly 40% of that energy is wasted because we can't store it? Ed Miliband had a rant at the conference, and let's have a look at this. They hate reform. It shows how much the Conservative Party is now completely insignificant in the current political climate, when all Labour have done all the way through the conference, they've barely even mentioned the Tories. They've barely mentioned the Liberal Democrats because they're Liberal Democrats and everyone ignores them. They've barely mentioned the SNP, and the SNP is Labour's biggest opposition in Scotland. All they've done is attack Farage and Reform. For the entire 3 days of the conference, it was Farage and Reform. And then communist retard Ed Miliband decided to do this. You're going to love this, by the way.
The threat from Reform goes way beyond their climate-denying agenda. You see, the truth is, I wish Nigel Farage was just the snake oil Tory city boy we've known about for years. He's actually morphed into something even more dangerous. He's now a key part of a global network that wants to destroy the ties that bind our communities and our way of life.
Now you're probably wondering, well, okay, Ed, communist retard Miliband, has just accused Nigel Farage of tearing down the ties that bind everything together, and he's part of a global network that does evil things. Is communist retard Ed Miliband actually going to actually mention what these ties are and what Nigel Farage has actually done? Okay, let's have a look and see if he does that, shall we?
And I can sum up the threat for you in 2 words.
Okay, here's the threat.
Elon Musk.
Hold on a minute here, communist retard Ed Miliband. What? What? Okay, Farage is bad. Farage is bad. Elon Musk. Where's the connection? Where's the connection, Eddie boy? There's no connection. You've just said that Nigel Farage is practically Hitler, right? Nigel Farage is practically Hitler, and then moved on. You never told us what Farage has done. You never told us what part of big global conspiracy Farage is a part of. You've never told us what the ties actually are that Farage is trying to break down. It's like, Farage is Hitler! Elon Musk! Fucking, my God. That this low IQ, gormless twat is supposedly, wait for it people, wait for it, you're gonna love this, supposedly the next Prime Minister, if Keir Starmer actually resigns. This man, him here, this man is the best hope for Labour if Keir Starmer resigns at the end of this year. It was going to be Angela Rayner, but she kind of screwed herself over when she didn't pay enough tax for that third house that she bought. So you could be looking at the next Prime Minister of this gormless communist moron, this who single-handedly ruined the UK's energy sector, single-handedly tripled the price of energy in the UK, and has single-handedly made the UK the most expensive place in the planet for electricity. This is supposedly going to be the next PM. He goes on, though. You're going to love the rest of this video. You're going to love it. Let's move on.
Elon Musk. He incites violence on our streets.
So, Ed, communist retard Miliband, has just accused Elon of inciting violence on the street. So, of course, Ed is going to show us some proof of what Elon Musk has done to deserve this accusation. Actually, no, he's not. He's just going to move on like he did with the whole Farage thing. Moving on.
He calls for the overthrow of our elected government. He's an enabler of disinformation through X. He thinks he can tell us how to run Britain.
He's doing a better job than you.
Conference. We have a message for Elon Musk. Get the hell out of our politics and our country.
Now you see, all Ed needed was a little tiny moustache there and doing that for a little bit while he was shouting, and he would have fitted right in, but unfortunately he didn't. So I honestly cannot believe how bad the Labour conference was. Now I'm saying this as a former Labour voter. I voted Labour all the way through Neil Kinnock. When I was old enough to vote, I voted for Labour all the way through Neil Kinnock's tenure. I voted for Labour for the first two terms of Tony Blair. Sorry, for the first term of Tony Blair, and stopped voting for the second. So I'm a bedrock socialist lefty. And I'm looking at this conference as a former Labour member and a former Labour supporter, and I am thinking, who the hell are these people? Who the hell do they think they are? Keir Starmer up there, I think it was earlier on this morning or late last night, giving it, we should reclaim our flag. What? People are going too far right. The march that happened on September the 13th was full of far-right people. No, Keir, you call me clown. It wasn't full of far-right people. It was full of women, men, children, grandparents. So you're basically calling roughly 70% of the population that didn't vote for you and your Communist Party a bunch of far-right fascists. Yeah, and people wonder why Reform's going to win the next election. And here's the best part about this, people. There was, as is the case for most of these conferences, many conferences going on around the big one, right? The big one is where all the big stars go, like head communist retard Miliband, like commie Keir Starmer, and all the rest of the clowns sitting on the Labour front benches. But there's many conferences going around at the same time. Let me show you something now. Yesterday, in the video I talked about yesterday, I mentioned how Tony Blair wanted to essentially scrap and completely reconfigure welfare disability benefits to the point that around 50% of the benefit money given to actual disabled people is scrapped. This came from a Labour think tank. Let me just bring this in. I am going to do a new window capture. And I'm going to bring... You know, it's not the... Where are you? That's weird. It's not showing up. So yeah, I stopped the recording. Thank God this wasn't live. I stopped the recording to try and bring this in. And for some reason, the picture's not showing up on the other screen. So I just had to import it straight into here. So these... 2 points, or sorry, these 5 points, the bold part is what this Labour think tank is going to say to the Department of Work and Pensions within the next couple of weeks. The light text part shows why this is wrong, if you're getting confused with what it says. Point 1 and 2, this is what the Labour think tank wants to do. Abolition of the work capability assessment and replacement with the daily living PIP assessment. Point number 3, incapacity benefit auto disqualification for under 22. So if you're under 22 years of age, basically if you're a kid or you're growing up through your teens or you're 20, 21, you will not be allowed to claim, oh, by the way, and you're disabled, right? Got to put the disabled part in there. You will not be allowed to claim for incapacity benefit. Point number 4, time-limited unemployment insurance. Point number 5, work conversations for those on incapacity benefits on the LCWRA and ESA support group. Now, that last point, the ESA support group, full ESA support group means you're terminally ill. You've got cancer and you're going to die. Or you've got a terminally ill problem. Generally speaking, there's no cure. You're going to get worse and you will die. That's the full ESA support group. And now this Labour think tank wants these terminally ill people to basically go get a job. This is Labour. This is supposed to be a party that is for the working class, by the working class, protects the working class and protects the poor, and also protects the disabled. The 5 major points that was the key bedstone of the reforms that Michael Foot and then Neil Kinnock put in place in the late 1970s and early 1980s to make sure the Labour Party was in firm solid ground. And now we have got Keir Starmer, his bunch of far left communist cronies, the future Prime Minister, possibly, basically supporting, not outright, but giving a nod to the 5 points I just showed you, of them wrecking the entire welfare disability benefit system, telling people on the ESA full support group, hey, you've got terminal cancer, have you thought about getting a job? This isn't Labour. This isn't Labour. This is not Labour. I hope, even though I no longer am a member of Reform, I joined Advance because I didn't like the way that Farage was flip-flopping. I hope that Reform UK get a massive landslide victory. And I hope, even though I cannot stand Jeremy Corbyn, I hope Corbyn's new Your Party completely obliterates what's left of Labour in the next election, because the Labour Party we're looking at in today's or this weekend's conference, that is not Labour. That is a far right wing. Well, sorry, it's not far. They lean right, but they're actually a far left wing communist party. They're authoritarian. They hate anyone that speaks up to them. They want to control the populace, digital ID cards. They hate the disabled. They hate the unemployed. As one last point about all this, did you know that before Keir Starmer and Ed Miliband that you just seen, before they went on a rant against Nigel Farage, calling him essentially a fascist, essentially that's essentially what happened, did you know that 12 hours before that, Nigel Farage's security accompaniment was cut by the government? So there goes Farage's security detail when he's public speaking. 12 hours later, Farage is called a fascist. Farage is called a danger to the UK. Farage is basically called evil by the Labour Party, who are now trying to drum up their followers to attack Farage in real life. And lo and behold, Farage's security detail budget has been cut. Just before they did this. It was all over Twitter. All over Twitter. I think it was The Guardian and The Telegraph that reported on it. Welcome to 1984. The novel, for the people that don't know. Welcome to 1984. Hastened in by a corrupt, far left-wing communist Labour Party.